kick.
Let's go, babe. Come on, let's have some fun, man.
This is Danny and Dusty on Football Friday.
You gotta see it. You gotta see it.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app, follow 1080 The Fan, and enable push notifications to get the latest on the Ducks, Beavers, Blazers, and more.
Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Good afternoon! Hey! Happy Football Friday!
Hey, look, there's 2 days in a row.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
Small streaks, they matter.
Yeah, it's the little things in life.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. Yeah, the gang is here again, and it's Football Friday. We're getting ready for Conference Championship Weekend. I'm just, for those people that are watching on YouTube, youtube.com/1080am The Fan. Like and subscribe, smash the button. Come on.
Smash them buttons.
Yep, there we go, Jeff Russ. Smash them buttons. For the folks watching on YouTube, I was late to the game because I didn't even hear Jeff Russ doing his update.
Oh,
because I was watching.
Unusual.
I was watching old. Yeah, actually, but I didn't. I usually hear you. I just don't listen.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Much like my wife. Thanks.
Yeah, yes, that's what my wife loves to say. I know you heard me, but are you listening?
Nope.
That's a no on all accounts.
Rod, are you paying attention?
Nope.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
I was watching old school TV commercials in here.
Ah.
Local TV commercials.
Indeed.
Ooh, like a Tom Peterson?
No, no.
Same
Glorious too.
Same vein, very memorable.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you what. I have never been more upset. I remember being mad at as a kid, just being like, "What? No." Come on down to Tom Peterson's, and then they shoot Gloria's head in,
Yeah.
like they do like the little surprise bubble on you. And like she goes, and Gloria's too. It's like, whoa, I know that's not
I
right.
believe that was part of the divorce settlement, was it not?
I don't know.
No, it was
Bankruptcy?
bankruptcy.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think it might have actually been a tax lien type thing where like he couldn't technically have his name, I think, on the
Just his name?
yeah, and that's why she ended up being a part of that.
And
It was-
Gloria's too, but I remember.
it was problematic. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember I got a bunk bed from Tom Peterson's when I was a kid. My dad's like, get the flat top. And I was like, no, they're going to mess with the lines in my head. The lines in my head at the time, I was like, I'm not getting that. No, I'm not going to go flat top. Can't do that to me because you could get the flat top haircut.
Yeah.
You know, it's a twofer. Get a bed and haircut there.
I mean, that was really that was what it was about back in the day.
Yeah.
It's like, what other deal could you combine with the thing that you were buying?
That's right. And that's why I was watching, because for some reason you're a psycho. You're watching NBL.
Yeah, National Basketball League.
You're watching Australian basketball, and it reminded me of, and all the old heads around here will remember, the Bruce Chevrolet, the Wallaby.
Yes.
Yeah. Come
Skippy?
on down to Bruce Chevrolet.
Skippy.
Come ski Skippy.
Yeah.
You know, so I was watching old Bruce Chevrolet commercials in here because,
I missed the turned up hat.
yeah, he didn't do that. No, he had a great head of hair. Why would you hide that under a hat? I remember Bruce brought his Wallaby
Who are you talking to right now? I mean,
yeah. Bruce brought his Wallaby to our to my elementary school when I was a kid, and so I got to meet Skippy. I believe it was Skippy 2 though,
Pretty much
like
like an UGA.
like a goldfish. Like,
yeah.
yeah. This is beta 3. I think I met Skippy, and I'll never forget. It was like, well, remember when you come on down when you turn 16, go to Bruce Chevrolet. You know, at the end of like the picture, like, dude, I'm in 2nd grade. Those were the days, though. We had some great old commercials. I don't feel like we have very many of them anymore.
No, number one, we don't have jingles anymore.
No, I'm seeing less and less of the
you got your
tweeters for
jingles.
a buck. You know, the
outrageous audio.
outrageous audio guy.
Yeah.
I'm seeing less of him even.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw the outrageous audio guy?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's a shame.
It's tough out here.
Yeah.
But you still got your jingles. You know, your McDonald's, your Burger King.
Yeah.
But those are the big ones, like
Yeah,
local
like
jingles. Where's a local jingle?
Yeah, we just. Like,
I mean, I don't.
There's no. Well, think real quick. Is there a single local company in the last 10 years where you're like, there's a memorable ad?
Right.
Where you're like, and honestly, I got to give some credit here to the station. The 808.
Oh yeah, yeah. Marcus, a hui ho.
Oh yeah, like that one sticks
Yeah.
in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But like, there really haven't been a ton. Like when we were growing up,
Right.
we could rattle them off.
Yeah.
Yeah. but they're all they're all the national brands. Like Liberty.
Oh,
Yeah.
Liberty,
Like,
Liberty.
Kids, my kids, they do like they'll come out of nowhere. They're like little ninjas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll pop out and be like Liberty Bibbity, or
Yeah.
you rule during the BK
Yeah,
commercials.
yes.
Like you're just sitting there, and you're like,
Yeah,
where did
my
you
kid,
come
she
from?
sings the Whopper one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whopper, double up. It's like,
Yeah.
damn, you watch too much TV. One,
Yeah.
and two,
Well, she was my
that is
daughter.
catchy. That is
But
catchy.
it's only national brands. You don't have the little marketing
Yeah.
companies that are doing the jingles and the smash hits, as they were.
yeah.
Well,
For
I
the-
can't think.
for the
I
small
can't. I
companies.
can't think of one. Not television commercial, but radio that is frequently played on this station. Coastal Farm and Ranch.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good. That's a good one.
And that's a jingle that has been around a
Yeah.
long time.
But again, that's the same jingle that's been around for a long
Yes.
time.
But we all know where the Shane Company is.
Mm-hmm.
It's off the west corner of Highway 217 and Shoals Ferry Road.
Yeah.
Open Monday through Friday till 8.
Across from
Saturday and
Washington.
Sunday
But
till
that's the other
5.
thing.
Yeah.
You
Online.
don't hear him doing
Shanko.com. No.
the commercials anymore.
No.
And what is funny is that most of the people that do those commercials anymore, they speak like in his same cadence.
Yes. What's the other
You
one?
have to- that's all part of it.
Men's Warehouse.
Yeah.
I-
I'm
George Zimmer?
Tom
Yeah.
Shane. No, wait. That's
George
the Shane
Zimmer.
Company.
Yeah.
Was the men's
Yeah,
warehouse.
George. Yeah.
But you don't hear that
Yeah.
anymore.
Damn. Hey.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
You know, like
Ooh, George Moreland Plumbing. They got a
Yeah.
good one.
The water heater king.
that's a good one. But again,
I'll tell you what.
been around a long time.
time.
I don't even. They should be on the station. I don't know if they are right now, but I went there. I had great customer service when I went to George Moreland.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Dude, they
Look, I'll gas
they
them
were-
up because
they were great.
they've been around for a long time because they rule.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
I think what we've come to is we do have a songbird of our generation on this show. Jeff Rust. I believe you should be tasked with a jingle today.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I think, yeah. Well, we're giving
Maybe
you
we
the
should have
assignment.
sales like start selling you doing jingles.
We'll give you an assignment
Jeff Rust
now.
Yeah.
Jeff's jingles.
Should we call that let Rust cook?
Hey,
Hey, yeah, you're wearing your P1 Rufio shirt.
Yes.
P1 Rufio, by the way, came down. We hung out with P1 Rufio yesterday. He brought a shirt for each of us, and Jeff Rust is wearing his today. It says "Let Rust Cook," and it has him in front of a grill with a big ol' sausage
That's a
on
big-
there.
Well, what else would it be?
Big old sausage on there, and it just says "Let Rust Cook" on it. It's a dynamite shirt.
It
It
is.
is.
It's a dynamite shirt.
It's
And
fantastic.
Danny and I will each bring ours out at a different time. You've got one day specifically that you have to debut
Yes.
yours on.
Yes.
Is that coming up soon?
Well, then another month.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I won't.
We'll
I
get
won't.
there.
I won't give it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we need Jeff Rust to do a jingle for a business.
Yes.
Today on the show. And we're getting it to you in segment 1.
Okay.
I want you to write this jingle throughout the show. I know you're going to be useless throughout the show.
Yeah.
Because of said jingle.
Well, that's just usually anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
But this is hall pass time.
okay.
Like Heidi Klum walked in the room and your wife said, "There you go, bud." Okay, you get hall pass time. You
All
can.
right.
You will be jingled
here's
up.
a good one. It was short lived,
Yeah.
but Stumptowns.
Shabazz is the
Napier.
man.
Shabazz is the man.
Yeah, that was
Shabazz
good.
is the
Yeah.
man. That
This
was a
is
good one.
another good one. Big Fat Wieners. The
Oh,
food
yeah.
truck.
Yeah.
Big Fat Wieners.
Yeah, that is a good
Put
one.
them in your mouth.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
So there are a couple. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
They're not completely. And those are exactly the ones we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Small like
So
local.
are we talking
super
for
local
a
companies.
local company? Is that what we're talking here, or just in general?
Local.
Local.
I want to go local here.
Okay.
And hopefully we will bring some business to this.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we'll bring some, because I know you're going to knock it out of the park. I know this, Jeff. I have faith in you.
All right.
You're not giving me a look like I should trust you as much as I am
No,
right
just
now.
the hamster wheel is turning. I'm trying to think of which direction I should go here, and like for which,
Should definitely be food.
Mm.
because I feel like it should be somebody that is a current sponsor on the station.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we should do this too. So we'll take recommendations. 503-864-6326. That's a Vancouver Ford text line. YouTube.com/1080am the fan. Twitch.com/1080am the fan. Go in the comment section. Think of a business. Maybe that ad. You hear their spots here.
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna have Jeff Rust give you a jingle. Here's another one. Great local TV commercial. This one won like international awards. The Trunk Monkey.
Oh yeah,
Car Subaru. Was it Car Subaru?
it was Subaru.
It was a
It might have been
Subaru
car.
Yeah. But they did the Trunk Monkey commercials. Those were
Fantastic.
top
when
shelf.
those first debuted,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, those won
Home runs.
Those were like international awards for those
Yeah.
commercials, and they were great. Like, who wouldn't want a little chimpanzee out there to be your car security?
I thought it was
It'd
Suburban
be
Auto Group,
fantastic.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
Suburban Auto Group.
Yeah.
That's who it was.
Suburban Subaru there. Yeah. That was great. I want more.
Yeah.
I want more great local commercials.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jeff Rust is going to make one.
I like it.
See what I can do.
I like it.
You will do it.
But
You will do it. And you don't, I mean, I just want, if you have like a music bed, go ahead and do it. But if you just want to use the dulcet tones of Jeff Rust, acapella.
Acapella, yeah.
Yeah.
That might be how we have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want a jingle. I want a great jingle because and some of them don't even have to be great jingles. Like Bruce would just with the wallaby.
Yeah.
You know?
Jingle me, Jeff.
But I want a jingle from you.
So this will debut at the final segment?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you get about 2.5 hours.
We're gonna have a busy final segment because we've got an anniversary, we got a birthday to celebrate.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
It makes it so we don't have to work then.
It is. It does.
It's
Well,
you closing the show for us.
look, this is a busy show.
It is.
In general because we got conference championship weekend.
Indeed.
Okay. We have got a little Blazers news.
Little Blazers, just little
A
sprinkles.
little sprinkle, a little
I wrote
Blazers
some
in there. What?
So that I wrote some stuff.
Are you going to talk about you want to talk about the G League thing?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I don't.
No.
Trade deadline on the Patreon. You do have the Jack Ramsey's Patreon.
I wrote a
You
lot.
do have a lot of trade stuff up
Yes.
there, and I think that as we approach, February.
We're 12 days away, 11 days away.
Well, February 1st is 6 days away. We're right around the corner, fellers.
Yeah.
And then February 8th is the trade deadline. So we're nearing that time, and there's going to be there's going to be a ton
Yes, there's going to be a ton
noise around the
picking
Portland
up,
Trailblazers.
particularly in about a week.
All right. So we got all of a sudden our show sheet is full.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a ton that we need to get to. Where I want to start this bad boy off, conference championship weekend. We'll put up a poll. Which quarterback does conference championship weekend mean the most for? Patty Mahomes, Lamar, you got Jared Goff or Brock Purdy.
Ooh.
Because this is, all of them have the 4 different storylines that are all completely different for each of these quarterbacks. And the craziest part about it is for 3 quarters, it's going to be about everybody else except for those 4 quarterbacks. And then the 4th quarter is going to come down to, all right, it's go time. Will they survive in advance? Well, that's where we'll start on this Friday. It's Football Friday, Conference Championship Weekend. Danny Dusty on the Fan. Championship weekend gets underway on Sunday. Double dip of games starting at noon o'clock with the Kansas City Chiefs in Baltimore for the Ravens. And then you got 3:30 on Fox. Detroit heading to San Francisco for the NFC Championship game. I think this is fascinating when you look at, and everything runs through the quarterbacks. And we'll go through this game inside out every which way.
Both games.
But which quarterback does championship weekend mean the most for? Because you got four guys that have had four completely different paths. And they are, I think, in each in their own right, incredible stories. Because Patrick Mahomes, this is like 6 straight AFC Championship games. He can go back to the Super Bowl and become the first guy to win back-to-back Super Bowls since Tom Brady did it. And that's the guy he's trying to unseat as the greatest of all time. And he will start his career faster and better than even what Tom Brady was able to do with a Super Bowl win. And if he goes back to back, it would be an incredible run.
It turns out going to AFC title games every year in your career as a starter,
that's good,
is a really good way to kind of springboard yourself into that discussion.
The guy that he is going to his house in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, his story is, all right, you want to say that you are an MVP, you're going to be a 2-time MVP winner this year.
You're really quarterbacky.
And he said, I got to win this Super Bowl. He hasn't been shying away from it or hiding from it. He said it, last week leading up. He's like, I'm thinking about it. Like, yeah, I want to get a championship. And I don't blame the guy, because when the knock around you is that, all right, now win in the playoffs, Lamar, can you do it? The guy has been a man possessed. And if he not only advances to a Super Bowl,
but wins one,
but knocks off Patrick Mahomes along the way, that, my friend,
you're stamped.
Is you're a bona fide as you. All right, now you got to win the damn thing, right? To really get to that highest of echelons and be the elite of the elite, right?
But you knocked off that guy to get there.
Yeah.
And so if you do that and then you go win and you've got the MVP, nobody can say anything.
No.
It's done. It's over. There's no, I wouldn't know. Shut up about it. Lamar Jackson is that dude. He's stamped. He's all time. Move on.
And there's very few active quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl. Well, as a starting quarterback.
We talked about this.
Think about that.
Beginning of the season. That we are past the golden age of quarterbacks. The only one left is Aaron.
Yep.
That's it. This is the new class. And it's Mahomes, but who else?
All right.
Is it Joe? Is it Josh? Is it Lamar? Who is the next golden era guy?
Can you name the quarterbacks that are active right now that have won a Super Bowl?
So, active right now that have won a Super Bowl.
There's only 5.
Mahomes is obviously one.
Mahomes.
Good God, can I get past one?
Well, Aaron Rodgers, the guy you already named, is another.
Are they all old?
Yeah. Well, and Joe Flacco, who just came off the street this year.
Still active, okay.
Russell Wilson.
Okay, yeah.
And Matthew Stafford.
God. Yeah.
Those are the only 5 quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl. And you want to take it a step further. There's only 3 other guys that have that you sit there and you're like,
Mahomes is the youngest of that, and he's 29.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. But then you have
28.
There's only a handful of guys that have started in Super Bowls and lost them, right?
Jalen.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo, Joe Burrow. That's it.
God, so the golden age of quarterbacks, not only did they leave, but the guys they beat all left too.
Yeah. It
is a full overhaul and transitionary period in the NFL at the quarterback position.
Yeah. It is like you think about the road to get there. It's really stinking hard because if you think about it, last year you had Mahomes and Hurts, year before Stafford and Burrow, Brady and Mahomes, Garoppolo and Mahomes, Brady and Goff, and then Nick Foles too.
Oh, Foles, yeah.
But he's not. Was Nick Foles on a team?
No, he did not end up signing.
He didn't?
No. Somebody brought him in for a workout, but he didn't sign.
And then you keep going back and you go back and think about this, like You go back beyond that 2019 Super Bowl, and then you have Foles and Brady both retired, Ryan and Brady both retired, Manning and Newton both retired, and then you get to Russell Wilson.
Probably should retire.
And Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Joe Flacco. I mean, it is, and then Jimmy G. It is a short list of guys. And so just to the point that you were making, like even just getting there for Lamar Jackson, you enter a rarefied air that Josh Allen hasn't reached that. Justin Herbert hasn't touched that. And the body of work for Lamar is already, it's stacking up to being like, dude, there should be no question in anybody's mind that if he goes and he not only just wins this week, but if he goes and wins the Super Bowl, it should go Mahomes, Lamar as the two active guys, because Burrow has gotten injuries and he's gotten close. Allen has been unable to get over the hump, and that's more of a team thing. Josh Allen's been really damn good.
We never talked about it on air, but Josh Allen's playoff stats in 10 playoff games are some of the best
funny numbers
stats you will ever see.
Funny numbers
for a quarterback in 10 playoff games.
So there's Lamar, and what this means for him in championship weekend. Jared Goff can be the guy like, dude, nobody's ever.
He could be Matt Stafford again.
Yeah, well, it is. Nobody's ever given me that chance, and nobody's ever given me the credit. But it's even better than Matthew Stafford because of the fact that he took the Rams to the Super Bowl. And did he play well? No. He didn't.
No.
But
he Trent Dilfer'd it without winning.
You guide a team to a Super Bowl, and then they're like, dude, we can't do it with you. We're going to ship you off. He goes to Detroit for Matthew Stafford, and the Rams, right call, they got their Super Bowl ring. But now he can carve his own path and say, no.
I was good enough. I just wasn't good enough yet.
And I wasn't. The thing that is a big knock to Jared Goff is if Jared Goff was not the number 1 overall pick, he would be regarded as, look at this guy.
Yes.
If he was the 10th or 15th pick, like it would be.
If he was drafted like Justin Fields,
a completely different view.
But because he's number 1, the stuff that comes along with those connotations, it's the Cam Newton.
And you can rewrite your story for Jared Goff.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one in Brock Purdy is, you want to call me a game manager? I'm just going to manage this team all the way to the damn Super Bowl. And it is okay, you want to go and win a game? You're going to have to win the game because the secondary is bad in Detroit, and it's going to have to be with a passing attack against the Detroit Lions.
When you look at Purdy,
I love Brock Purdy.
I mean, it's fun to look at him. He's a good-looking man. But in this sense, how much more? Because I think there are still people, even as good as he has been, and I'm not saying they're the same quarterback, but I'm saying the perception of what he would have to accomplish to get to 49ers lore. Steve Young, Joe Montana, who were quarterbacks. They were not game managers. Because I think if the 49ers go and win this, and rightfully so, let's say they go win a Super Bowl, everybody's going to talk about CMC. Regardless of whatever Purdy could throw for 400 yards, and they're going to say, well, they has CMC. He has Debo. He has Trent. He has that defense. There's this where you flip it on its head with like Goff or Newton as a number 1 overall pick because he's Mr. Irrelevant, because he has everything around him. Yeah. It seems like he has to do the exceptional to get past being Trent Dilfer.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like what does he have to do to be like when we talk about Lamar? Like if Lamar goes and does this, he's stamped. Like I'm not saying just winning this game. Let's say Lamar Jackson wins the Super Bowl. It's going to be because of Lamar Jackson. Even if Brock Purdy goes and does this and wins the Super Bowl, and it's because of Brock Purdy. Like I'm talking, he goes bonkers. Like he just throws for 350, 4 tutties, carves both teams up on the way through it. Are we even still talking about it as Brock Purdy did it and led them, or are we still saying he's a really good game manager who Joe Flacco'd his way through the playoffs?
And see, those are just unfair because the body.
It is, but do you think that that's the truth?
No, I don't, because the body of work that Brock Purdy has already put up is because of the fact that he does have the greatest set of weapons of anybody else.
He's the best setup in the league.
He's got a great play caller, but in crunch time, Kyle Shanahan has not been great.
No.
He's got the best left tackle. He's got the best tackle in football.
Best running back.
Period. He has got so much going for him. But what Brock Purdy does not get enough credit for is that this dude on yards per attempt, he pushes the ball down the field, which is what everybody's like, well, anybody can check the ball down to great receivers. No, he pushes the ball down the field.
We saw this with Jimmy.
His average yards per attempt are 9 yards an attempt. Nobody even sniffs that.
No.
In the NFL. Tua was the next closest, and he had Tyreek friggin' Hill
who was
in
breaking
Jalen Waddle.
Massive play after massive play.
And it was at 7.5 yards. Brock Purdy's at 9.
That's when you talk about 350 plus attempts on a season, a yard and a half is a canyon.
And think of the guys that are regarded just this year in a vacuum, right? The guys who are pushing the ball down the field better than anybody else, right? Dak Prescott. Lamar Jackson. And everybody's like, oh my God, Lamar Jackson can throw a deep ball now. Lamar Jackson is at 7.3 yards, 7.3 yards per attempt. Like, that's almost 2 full yards from Brock Purdy. And that is a bit, it doesn't seem like that's a big gap.
No, that is a massive gap when you're talking about average depth of throw over the course of 17 games.
So he's not like this check down guy. And also, he doesn't throw a lot of picks.
No.
Now, did Darnell Savage have one just bounce off his chest? Yeah, sure did.
And we talked about this coming into this season, the luck-adjusted throwing percentage for Brock Purdy. And it did come down a little bit this year. He did have a few more picks because, remember, last year, that was all the talk about the run leading up until him getting hurt, is that he did have some throws that probably should have gone against him that didn't.
Yeah.
But throughout the course of the season, he controlled the ball still. He did not throw all of the interceptions. It didn't come back to bite him.
When you think about the other quarterbacks that Brock Purdy unfairly gets lumped in with, Joe Flacco has in his career been a turnover machine with a cannon of an arm.
One immaculate run.
But went in a playoffs in 2013, went absolutely unconscious and won a Super Bowl. And that was, he turned into a pumpkin again at every turn, right? This year, also, everybody who gave Joe Flacco all the credit in the world, I will go to my grave with this. He still he threw 10 interceptions.
My guy didn't hold back.
In 6 games. Like, he was still that guy, right? But like Trent Dilfer, who he also gets, that's
the one I think he gets lumped in with more
that's
most
just
often.
Stupid as well, because
lazy.
He had an historically good defense and Jamal Lewis that he turned around, hand the ball off to Jamal Lewis, right? And they ran the ball effectively. It was play within yourself. It was not push the ball down the field. He did not lead the league in yards per attempt passing. And this is in an era where everybody's doing it, and Brock Purdy does a really damn good job of it. Is it because he has phenomenal weapons? Yeah, it is, but he's still doing it, right? And then you take...
With him, what does he have to do, essentially, to break that moniker in the next 2 games?
I think he just needs to win. He needs to win because the body
alone is enough.
The body of work should tell people, no, they're really damn good. He's not Brad Johnson or Trent Dilfer or any of these guys. He is better than that. Is he elite? Are we, in the same breath that we're talking like Mahomes can start closing that gap on the greatest of all time conversation? Lamar Jackson can become truly elite? No, he's not. But we need to be okay with that, right? You can still be really damn good and not be the greatest of all time or regarded as one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL in year 2 of your career.
It's pretty cool if he can be.
It's really cool if he can be, but he's not, and he shouldn't be, and that should be okay. You got to break that from, no, guy's just a game manager. He's Trent Dilfer.
There's
Brad
a
Johnson.
Space between
Joe Flacco.
Brad Johnson and Tom Brady.
There's a big one. There's a lot of quarterbacks in there,
and it's like we've gotten so hyperbolic in society, with not just sports, but just in general, that being very good is not okay.
Yeah,
and it's like. No, there's GOATs. There's unbelievably great, and then there's very good.
Yeah.
And there are guys in the Hall of Fame in sports that are very good. And that's okay.
I think that when you look at it, you're going to be like, Mahomes and Lamar in the AFC are playing for rarefied air. Goff and Purdy are kind of playing for the same air. Right? Which is, I'm better than what everybody thinks I am. And I deserve some damn respect and some credit for how good I am, but I'm not Lamar or Mahomes. And no matter who plays in the Super Bowl for the NFC, they will be the lesser quarterback. No matter who it is.
No matter who it is.
No, and you know what?
It's fine.
That's okay. Their team can still win.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We got the poll up, though, at Danny and Dusty on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Which quarterback does conference championship weekend mean the most for? Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, or Brock Purdy? Currently, and we just put this poll up, we got over 100 votes, and it is Lamar Jackson, 59% of the vote right now. Jared Goff at 20%.
Bit of an early landslide.
Purdy at 17.5%, and rightfully so, Mahomes at 3.3%, because there's nothing that Patty Mahomes is going to do that makes or breaks his legacy. These are legacy games for the other three, and really important. Let's start diving into these matchups here. We'll start with the first game on tap. CBS nooner on Sunday. You've got the
a good dooner.
Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this. It's Patrick Mahomes' second road game in the playoffs ever.
Yeah.
Do you know that? Did you know that?
I hadn't heard anything about that.
Yeah. I can't believe that Patrick Mahomes got out of Buffalo alive.
Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing to think about.
Wow.
First, we're going to let Russ cook with SportsCenter.
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Only 24 cents to enroll this January. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on The Fan, Conference Championship weekend is finally here. A Sunday nooner on CBS. The Ravens 3.5-point favorites hosting the Chiefs. ESPN's Jamison Hensley reporting Ravens tight end Mark Andrews has been activated off injured reserve. He's been sidelined since injuring his ankle November 16th in a win over the Bengals. Then at 3:30 on Fox, the Niners 7-point favorites hosting the Lions. Deebo Samuel, a limited participant in practice yesterday after leaving the divisional round win over the Packers with a shoulder injury. On the hard court, the Trailblazers wrap up their road trip tonight against Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. 6:30 tip on Root Sports Plus. The Blazers are 2.5-point underdogs. Shaden Sharp is out. Malcolm Brogdon questionable. Portland 13-31 on the season, the 5th worst record in the league. Oregon State baseball has informed the West Coast Conference they will not join the conference as an affiliate member in 2025 and will play an independent schedule. And after losing at the buzzer last night in Corvallis, number 9 Arizona visiting conference leading Oregon tomorrow. It's a 2:30 tip on Fox. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at 2 o'clock. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino has all the postseason pro football action on the big screens with big-time sports betting action. Visit spiritmountain.com.
Do it every morning. Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Joe Thuney has been ruled out of the conference championship game. Also, looking at the injury report for Kansas City, Isaiah Pacheco, Willie Gay, and how are they going to do it without Kadarius Toney? All of those guys are listed as questionable for the conference championship game. Look at that.
Something weird here.
What?
The Chiefs are the ones with the injury report and not the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about one of the best left guards in football. Yeah. In a pec injury that, look, if he's ruled out of this one, if they can get by Baltimore, which now becomes an even further uphill climb when you're going to be playing in conditions that are going to be wet, sloppy,
more run-based.
It's going to be a lot tougher. And then you also have Isaiah Pacheco, who's banged up, and he is the heartbeat of their run game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good back. He's a good back out of the backfield. But then you flip on the other side, where Baltimore is now all of a sudden getting more and more healthy as the season goes on. They just activated Mark Andrews off of the injured reserve and put him on the active roster. So his ramp up is done. Now they will have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely both available for the Baltimore Ravens, as we kind of all expected.
Yeah, the Ravens injury report right now, Mark Andrews is a full participant in practice yesterday. Marlon Humphreys, Delshon Phillips, and Tylan Wallace all light participants yesterday, with Rakia Sin as a DNP, but he did have a light practice on Wednesday. So it looks like of their guys on the injury report, they could have the full complement of everyone who is currently listed.
And kind of all eyes are on Marlon Humphrey. A calf injury for a corner is not the best to have in the world. And then you look at, a guy that not available last week. And look, if he comes back and he is healthy, all of a sudden they are full strength. That is wild to think about, the Baltimore Ravens and how the season started.
Being fully healthy
to where
in
they're
the
at
AFC title game.
Yeah.
That's not how this is supposed to work. You're supposed to get there and the attrition is supposed to wear you down. Because if you go to the Ravens injury report, the NFL.com site, and then you look at the Chiefs, when you scroll the Chiefs injury report, it is long.
Well, and football is a war of attrition. And that is, we all know this. And with what Baltimore has been able to do with Todd Monken as their offensive coordinator, adjusting, slow adjust in to kind of reel in and relearn the quarterback position essentially for Lamar Jackson. Because look, the dude had significantly less carries this year than what he'd had in years past.
They saved it for this time.
He has been pushing the ball down the field and been very effective doing it. And they showed up in their first playoff game and he ran for 100 damn yards. And it was not running the way that we'd seen Lamar Jackson run in the past. Sure, there were a couple design runs. Sure, there was one where he did get to the outside and it looked like old Lamar. But his eyes were downfield, and he had two runs where he was in the pocket, tucked, ran, and had huge gains off of it. It's a different style. It's a different way to defend Lamar Jackson now, and the pass is 100% a threat because they're taking tops off defenses now with Zay Flowers running through the middle. It is, now that you add Mark Andrews with Isaiah Likely.
Who is Mark Andrews, for those unaware, that is Lamar Jackson's woogie. That is his safety blanket. That is his underneath guy. That is the guy that he was relied on for the last 2 years.
Rely on their linebackers a lot in run support and in the run game. Mm-hmm. And when you go out and you have 12 personnel, which is one back and two tight ends, and oh, by the way, you really have two backs because Lamar Jackson's always the threat to run. You have to have eyes on both of those tight ends because they are effective.
Yes.
And Mark Andrews, serviceable blocker. And if you have those guys to help set an edge, you have linebackers having to respect them as passing threats. And Lamar and Gus Edwards can run the football. That, in Dalvin Cook out of the backfield, I was surprised. He didn't play. He had one good run. Yeah. He had one good run. But you add another layer.
Another layer. And the Chiefs, Willie Gay is beat up.
Yeah,
that's another injury to their linebacking core, an issue that you're going to be worried about because with this Ravens team and what they can do to you now, in the past you were worried about the Ravens on the edge.
Yeah.
Now you are worried about the Ravens between the hashes. That is where you are worried about them because you're gonna get stretched out, like you said. Those opportunities that are gonna pop there. Last week it was Lamar Jackson running up the middle. It's not Lamar get into the edge, string things out, play action, roll out. It's about keeping Lamar in the middle of the field because of what that does to you defensively.
And when Lamar is running like he is, whether it's Zay, Bateman, Aguilar, or Odell Beckham, they all of a sudden are running shorter routes and holding corners up, and boop, goodbye.
Especially on the outside of the field.
Lamar is that injury, the Joe Thuney injury though, is big.
Yes,
that's a big injury for Kansas City,
especially with this weather and the way that this game is probably going to go.
Yeah,
where it's going to get ugly, it's going to get bogged down. Not only are you losing your dude, who's your road grader there, you also don't have your heavy runner.
Yeah,
in Pacheco. Like it's just that,
well, he's dinged. At
what I'm saying,
at
like
least he's
you're
getting
different. Downgrades across the most important part of that side of the game. I
thought that Kansas City going to the run game and being forced to do it against Miami, and what that opened up because that dude runs
heavy,
angry, like he is just mean when he runs the football, and so. You take that element out of your offense, and I thought it alleviated so much of the pressure for Patrick Mahomes in it with a wide receiving core that he doesn't trust. Like Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce.
Outside of those two dudes, that's it.
He still doesn't trust Marquez Valdes-Scantling, even though MVS had a good game last week. He did have a good game last week against Buffalo, but it's that faith, that trust, that continuity, it's just not there with this group of receivers. And without one of the best left guards in football, without one of the angriest, meanest runners in football, now you're going up against two defensive linemen in Michael Pierce and then, what's his name? Trevor Jones, the other guy in the middle. Those two guys are just menaces in the middle of Baltimore's defense. And by the way, behind them is Roquan Smith, who is an absolute madman in his own right.
A complete lunatic. He's not Ray Lewis, but he's the latest in a generation of absolute psychopath linebackers that, I mean, they are the heartbeat of that defense.
And running into the teeth of that is going to be really damn hard for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now it comes down to, though, all right, how does Patrick Mahomes attack the middle of the Baltimore defense, right? Geno Stone has been outstanding. It leads the NFL in interceptions. That dude is a ball hawk in the middle. And where does Patrick Mahomes find Travis Kelce the most? A majority of Travis Kelce's receiving yards are right in that 10 to 20-yard range in the middle of that defense. And you got one of the most ball-hawking safeties in the middle if you can get pressure without having to bring linebackers and without having to blitz, and you can just get home with 4 because you have to rely on a backup left guard in the AFC Championship game. And I talked about this on Monday, but Michael Pierce was like 33% of his pass rushes from the nose tackle position. Yes. He created pressures. That is ungodly.
That's a violent push.
Creed Humphrey is a really damn good center, and he's an upgrade from what Houston has in the middle. But you don't have help now without one of the best left guards.
You don't have a guard there chipping that's an absolute stud.
You
anymore.
need an all-pro right next to him when you have the front seven that Baltimore has. Yep. That's going to be, in my mind, how much time we're going to see Patty Mahomes. He's going to be creator again. Yep. It's going to be this one just screams, if Kansas City wins, it's going to be ugly.
That's ultimately where I come back to this, and we talk about, obviously, we I guess joke about the idea of, oh my God, this is Patrick Mahomes' second road game, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, that game against the Bills wasn't pretty.
No.
It wasn't a pretty game. And this is a defense in the Bills or in the Ravens that is significantly better than the Bills.
Absolutely.
And a big part of that is their health.
Well, they do have one thing going for them. We'll get to that next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. You know, the one thing that the Chiefs do have going for them, I mentioned this earlier in the week when I saw it on Sharp Football Analysis, the Sean Smith effect. Remember, Sean Smith, who is the head official in the AFC Championship game, home teams have won
Woo, buddy.
37% against the spread. Only 37% against the spread over 3 years. So it's not just a one-off for this guy. Home teams have only won 40% of the games straight up when Sean Smith is the head referee. That is the lowest win rate of any referee in the NFL. On average, home teams win 55% of the time. When Sean Smith, well, a little bit over that, but when Sean Smith officiates, it's 15% lower.
That's a
40%.
significant one.
Yeah, and that's look. This is over 3 years. This is not some small sample size. This dude's been on games. So hey, the Chiefs got that going for him, which is nice.
It's certainly helpful, and it's not going to help push back against the narrative of Mahomes getting all the help.
That means think about that. That means the road team covers 63% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Covers, which that is the level playing field. That's Vegas, baby. Like that is even more jarring than the straight up home road split.
I believe, was I the only one that took the Chiefs to cover this weekend?
I think so. Yeah.
Guess we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Ravens -4. Huh? Let's rest. I think it's going to be the since everybody knows that now, they're going to go against the grain. It's going to be Ravens homer calls all week long, all day long. All right, hour number 1 is in the books. Hour number 2, let's start diving into this NFC Championship game where injuries are going to be just as big of an issue for the San Francisco 49ers as we await an update to Deebo Samuel. But there's one thing that stuck out in the divisional round of the playoffs to me that could spell disaster for the San Francisco 49ers. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Football Friday. If you missed any of hour number 1, go check it out on the Service Patriots podcast. Service Patriots, your home comfort solution for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners. ServicePatriots.com/thefan. Oh, look at that. We have right during Jeff Russ update there, we had an update to the Detroit Lions injury report. We just talked about how Joe Thuney is out for the Chiefs. That's huge. Frank Ragnow has been removed from the Lions injury report.
How?
He has
a sprained knee and a sprained ankle.
Well, he was listed on the injury report with an ankle, toe, knee, and back injury.
How is that possible?
Yet was removed, practiced fully today, and will play in the NFC Championship game. That is bananas. The dude got rolled up on twice in that divisional round. There are just some people that are just built differently. Like they could play for a decade in the NFL and they'll walk around. You're like, I can't believe you did that. You're just a ball of like muscle and aggression.
I remember watching the Kelsey documentary and Jason Kelsey walking around his house with an ankle the size of a watermelon with acupuncture needles sticking out.
Not recommended.
You're not supposed to move around with that.
No.
And I'm just thinking like, yeah, offensive linemen are different. They're just like, there's levels to like stuff guys will go through. I have a reeling suspicion that offensive linemen are the ones that go through and play through the most.
Yeah. Yeah, because, well, you're relying on your speed like a receiver or running back. And the thing that's crazy about it is that people are like, well, all they got to do is block. They have to be
340-pound man who's going to maul them.
They have to be ballerinas out there because also guys coming off the edge are 6'4", 260 and run a 4.7 40, right? Like you got to be more agile than what people give them credit for. But you're right. And I can't believe it. I can't believe he's just off the injury report. Like, no, he's gonna go. He's gonna go. And then I heard Dan Campbell in his press availability today. They're like, reporters like, your guys, they seem like really amped up. I can tell like you're really amped up. Are you going to pull back on them a little bit? And Campbell's like, no, why would I do that? No, we're going all in. Like we are going to play on that edge and over that edge. Like I love Dan Campbell for that. Like he knows the type of guys that he has in his locker room. And I love that about him. And they're going to have their hands full with the San Francisco 49ers this weekend because it's not just weapon after weapon offensively. You've got Fred Warner anchoring the linebacking core and anchoring that defense. You've got Nick Bosa. You've got Eric Armstead. You've got Dre Greenlaw, Javon Kinlaw. Like they have got dudes up front. Chase Young, which was absolutely atrocious last week. They've got dudes up front. And that's the thing. Like if I'm San Francisco, the one thing that worries me is the Green Bay Packers did not do anything exotic.
Special.
They didn't do anything.
And they don't have the personnel to really put you under that pressure.
What do you mean?
The Packers? Defensively?
No. Their offensive line.
Oh, okay.
They didn't do anything special to block Nick Bosa or Young or Armstead. And they were rendered. It was just like five linemen. They were barely even chipping with backs. Like it was pretty straight up the way that they blocked the San Francisco 49ers, and they didn't sack Jordan Love one time. They only had a handful of pressures and hurries, and Nick Bosa was really the most effective guy. Other than that, like it was just kind of like, is anybody going to get home? Is
that Lions
anybody going to get home?
He's certainly better.
It's exponentially better.
But the thing that I wonder is, Jordan Love, what gave the Packers a lot of hope in that game was Jordan Love's improvisational skills. Extending plays, keeping it alive a step longer or a beat longer, stepping up in the pocket, making that throw. That even mild improvisation is something that Jared Goff has struggled with.
Not sliding up into a pocket because he has two of the best tackles in the NFL. He's not good when pressured, though.
Yes,
but he's rarely
But not only
pressured.
that, but also going off script at all. That improvisation, that has been his Achilles heel. And I really wonder if the 49ers or if the Lions have a counter to Goff going off script, extending a play, making things a little bit different from what is the book, so to speak.
I don't think that when you have Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, I don't think you really they're not really
too
worried about that.
Yeah,
I mean they're not because they.
I guess you can't be because you have to be dictating because if you're not dictating, you're already falling behind.
Yes, and if you think of what Detroit nobody's gotten home. They're 5th in sacks allowed this year.
It's fair.
Like I mean they're just freaking really good up front. They are.
But
really
how much of last week
stinking good.
was a weird week for the 49ers? Or is that more the norm now?
I think it's a sign of maybe you're wearing down a little bit.
Sure.
And it's playoff time, and you've got some really dang good offensive lines that you're going up against, and this is going to be the best one. That's something I'm going to be watching, though, because they have to be more effective than they were last week. Because if Detroit is afforded to allow their back out, whether it's David Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs,
and that it gets exponentially more scary when it becomes Jahmyr Gibbs.
It plays well. David Montgomery is
he's no slouch.
He's really stinking good as a back out. And if you could just say, all right, we're going to release you out. We're going to play you straight up. We're going to gash you on the edges because San Francisco's absolutely atrocious in the run defense on the edges. They give up. But they headed into last week's game, giving up over 5.5 yards. I cringe to think what they're at now because Aaron Jones averaged 10.8 yards per carry outside the tackles. And then you add the other layer on top of it that, look, you weren't good against the Niners weren't a good pass rushing team last week either. That is a legitimate concern. And like everybody's like, well, can Brock Purdy get it done? Brock Purdy is not my worry if I'm a 49er fan. My worry is Detroit going to be able to run the ball down your throat? Because if Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, if he's healthy, and all eyes are going to be on that injury report when it comes out, if those guys are on the sideline, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That is going to be where Detroit can control this game. And if Detroit is going to win this game, that's where it has to be. I don't think they do, but I think that the Lions, that is, I don't think the Lions win this game. But if they do, it's going to be by keeping the offense on the sideline and neutering Kyle Shanahan. Like that's going to be it for Detroit, running roughshod and just breaking their will outside the tackles. And they got the 2 best damn tackles in football. And it's nuts what Detroit does in the run game. The amount that they pull Penei Sewell is absolutely, it's mind-boggling because you're pulling your right tackle to lead block, and you usually pull the guard because he can get there quicker.
But Penei is able to get there because he's a freak.
And you're allowing that right guard to stay in, which means that there's not going to be a gap to be shot. Mm-hmm. Like you're going to have to come off the edge. It's nuts.
That's the unique ability of a Samoan monster that can do stuff that nobody else can do.
He is nuts.
Yeah, he had I think it was the end of the regular season. He had one pancake that made it on. I think it was on NFL Live that they kept replaying over and over and over again. You're like, oh, you don't want to be want to be a second level guy. Seeing him come your way.
No.
It's really interesting where, the dichotomy change in, the Chiefs Ravens is that the first time the Ravens are getting healthy. The 49ers for the last couple of years, it's been, oh no, not the quarterback spot, not the quarterback spot, not the quarterback spot. And right now the offense, with the exception of Deebo, is healthy. It's their defense is what was so overwhelming and so powerful the first 8-10 weeks of the season. I think you're right. I think Bosa is a guy who, for the most part this season, has been healthy.
Yep.
But you've got that front. It's a lot of big dudes, and those big dudes do tend to wear down. And what I wonder is if in this game, is it more about the front Or does it become more about the second level guys and Greenlaw and Warner and the things that they can do as defensive playmakers that becomes more disruptive to what the Lions are trying to accomplish?
They haven't been all year, and that's the concern.
And that's what I'm wondering.
Like,
Is like,
Dre Greenlaw in coverage he was exceptional
Yes.
against Green Bay. Like it was under a half yard per drop back, and that's
with him
nuts.
targeted, yeah.
It's absolutely crazy what he was able to do and how athletic he is. But you are robbing Peter to pay Paul because
Of the run game.
their edges are
They're not able to set it.
they're really bad. And Chase Young has been really bad. And look, I want to see kind of what the difference is in. They got 0 sacks last week.
Mm-hmm.
They hit the quarterback 6 times. 5 of them were Nick Bosa. It was
Not exactly spreading the wealth around.
no, and when he got hits on Jordan Love, it wasn't like he was really all that pressured. You're not getting home. You have to get home in these situations, and they just didn't last week. And I know that Dan Campbell and that Ben Johnson and that offensive staff are just salivating. They've got to be better, and they can be because they got the dudes. That's the thing too. They have everybody that
the
you
list
could want.
is like if you're taking a list of dudes in the NFL, how many lists are you taking over theirs?
Not a lot. Their entire roster is complete.
You know what I mean? So like, I don't. When you look at that, you just kind of go, okay, somebody's got to just show up. I hate boiling it down to that, but when you look at that list of that front, it can't just be Bosa.
It was Bosa, and then Armstead. Armstead was creating a little bit of havoc, but he wasn't hitting anybody. Like he was just occupying 2 bodies to open things up for Nick Bosa. Like they've got
And it can't just be that.
in disrupting Jared Goff under pressure. His splits are complete.
Oh, him
different
and Stafford are
quarterback.
two of the biggest splits in football when it comes to pressured versus unpressured.
I'll look this up on Pro Football Focus because when you look at Jared Goff's, it truly is. It's like Brock Purdy is one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Goff is one of the worst under pressure. We'll get to that next, plus a little bit of the good news for the San Francisco 49ers because they are the better team heading into this. Despite the woes that the defensive line and the pass rush had last week against Green Bay, they won that game, and they are a really damn good team. Danny Dusty on the Fan.
wrapped around each other.
All right, these are kind of eye-popping stats via Pro Football Focus on Jared Goff and Brock Purdy. So, according to their power ratings of quarterbacks in the NFL, Brock Purdy ranks 11th in the league. Jared Goff is 13th. Okay, their grades that they have on each guy: Purdy is an 86.7, Jared Goff is an 85.3. Okay, so they're pretty close.
Okay.
In where they have them power rated, where they grade them out. Brock Purdy's passer rating in a clean pocket is 123.6. Jared Goff's is 116.1, right? So that's a bigger gap than anything that we've seen with their overall grade or where they're power rated.
Mm-hmm.
Under pressure, Brock Purdy's rating is 87.8.
Which,
significant drop off.
yeah.
Jared Goff's is 62.9. Like he's not a great quarterback under pressure.
It's the under pressure improvisation, having to string things out, getting out of the pocket. That's not where he thrives.
But he doesn't have to be. The larger point is that he's not in that position very often because Jared Goff. Well, no, he's smart. Jared Goff is smart. Like, people think he's an idiot because he doesn't know where the sun rises and sets.
Yes.
Jared Goff is really damn smart. There's a reason why the Rams were in the Super Bowl, and there's a reason why
a young quarterback.
He is back in the conference championship game, is because Jared Goff doesn't get his offense in those positions. Now, he's been afforded having two very good play callers in Sean McVay and Ben Johnson.
Certainly.
But when S gets real and you're at the line of scrimmage, it doesn't matter what Ben Johnson or Sean McVay call. You have to get your team in the right place to where you're not put in a position to where your faults are going to be highlighted. What that says to me is that, they do have a great offensive line, but Jared Goff doesn't put himself in a position when your passer rating is that low in a dirty pocket and you're under pressure, you're not seeing pressure. You're not doing it.
Because you're not accustomed to it.
And you're not throwing the ball into danger. Like Jared Goff takes really good care of the ball.
He does, yes.
For the limitations he has physically, he takes damn good care of it.
When do you ever hear about Jared Goff playing uncontrolled football?
You don't. I mean, there's bad.
Yeah,
It's bad.
Sure,
but
Jared Goff is not playing backyard football. He's not cowboying.
he's not going Josh Allen or Dak Prescott. No.
You aren't getting the yeet throws.
Yeah.
Like,
YOLO.
just let's see what happens.
But I think everybody kind of has that idea that that's who Goff is when he's on the field because of like the audio that we played yesterday where he has a bro-y attitude. He's a California dude, right? Doesn't know where the sun rises and sets. So people are like, this guy's just a dumb blonde. He looks like Ryan Gosling.
He's the living embodiment of sunshine.
He's and Ken.
Yeah.
That's what he is, but he's not.
His job is beach.
His job is beach. Yeah. He's Beach Ken.
And if you go to San Diego, it's a beach. It's a job for a lot of people.
Nobody wants to go to the beaches in Detroit because you're going to get stabbed or step on glass.
Well,
that's the thing.
It's radioactive.
Really? It's a great lake, right?
One of them.
Lake Erie?
Yeah.
Is that Detroit?
Yeah.
I think Lake Erie's Detroit.
Oh.
We could have had like a Lake Erie Super Bowl. If Buffalo would have beaten the Chiefs, that would have been great.
Kind of weird that, how far apart they are on the same lake.
They are great for a reason because they're quite large.
Speaking of Buffalo,
said.
I saw a tweet on here. It said that for the past 4 seasons, the team that beat the Bills in the playoffs has lost the following week.
Oh, really?
Each of the last 4 years.
Wow. How you feeling about your pick of the Chiefs now, jerk?
I just picked him to cover, didn't pick him to win.
There you go.
There he goes.
Well,
there he goes. Hey,
great teams cover.
But you know what? That's not the worst 4-year run that the Buffalo Bills have had.
Oh. Ouch.
God. I genuinely wanted,
because in those years they won the Super Bowl.
I genuinely wanted Bills Lions so that one fan base, one way or the other, was finally going to be redeemed.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking about it, like, would that be the worst case scenario for the Bills if they played the Lions and then lost to the Lions?
Yeah, that would have been the worst Bills. That would have been the worst that the
Like,
Bills
of all of the ways to go,
yeah.
you couldn't even get them.
Yeah, that's not.
I was
That
thinking,
ain't it.
like, it sounded great, but the more I started going through it, I was like, oh no. What if they went wide right against the Lions? Like, at this point, they're seemingly inventing ways.
It wouldn't have done it. It wouldn't have been there.
Would have been wide left.
It would have been, yeah. They would have had to just
Can I
change
just
it up
say, in that
somehow.
game, the kicker's going to miss it. Like, if you could it have just gone left.
No, it can't. No, except for if it was Detroit.
Did
It
you?
would have had to go
Everybody kept
left.
saying the wind's so bad there. Did you notice the flags during the kick?
That's that. Hold on,
they
that
did not
very
move.
misleading. Very misleading because on the far flags, and this is the thing about Buffalo is that they have a
swirling wind.
and
So
off his
in between
foot,
there and
off
then-
his foot, it went further, and then it started to like
Tail.
straighten out at the end. It was if you look at the near flags, if you look at the end zone shot, the near goalpost flags were just pinned to the right.
Oh,
But the far
What he
flags
was
where he
kicking
was
into?
kicking at,
Yeah.
those were settling
Hanging.
down.
Yeah.
And but the ones on the far right,
Oh,
on the
okay.
near
So
side,
I didn't see the
they
other
were
ones.
pinned.
Okay.
And so there's weird winds in
Yeah,
Buffalo. they said.
it does swirl there. But I was looking at that and I was like, how the hell did that go so far right with the flags down like that?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm that feels like a blind spot in the NFL
What?
in the sense of like having a good way to gauge wind between where you're kicking and the goalposts.
Like
Like as a kicker, as a team, as a form of data collection. Like,
I bet they do it.
Why don't you just see the kicker lick his finger and stick it up in the air?
but you know what I mean? Like you're tossing grass in the air and stuff like that. But
talking
like the I'm going to go full military. Like when you're as a sniper, like you have like windage markers at various distances
Yeah.
to know those things. And I've always wondered, like the NFL, like when you're talking about 40, 50 yards.
Well, they do. Like all the kickers know. All the kickers know that stuff. Like they go deep into that. Like
Well, I know, but I
every
mean,
stadium
but
where
in
the
a
wind
game,
comes
like when
from.
it's live, like there's no accurate way to gauge that other than where you're kicking to.
I
Those
bet they
posts.
do on the sidelines. I bet they do.
That's something I've always wondered.
Yeah, I bet
Like
they
that,
have
but
that.
that's where my nerd brain went when that happened. I'm like,
But I'm not sure how you would like at the 40-yard line to see what the wind is like 15 yards in the air.
that's what I mean. Like,
Well, I mean, how do you?
it's
You can't just like put a
it's-
stick out
no,
there.
that's what I'm saying. It's a blind spot. Like it truly is. Like it's a guessing game.
Just make the damn kick.
Just kick it hard. Kick it so hard that it doesn't matter.
That's right.
Okay.
Do it.
All right. Well, let's kick it over to Jeff Rust for a sports and update. And we'll be back with Worst Day on the Web. We got a couple of them. We're going to decide which way we're going to go. Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on the Fan, Conference Championship weekend is finally here. Sunday at noon on CBS, the Ravens 3.5-point favorites hosting the Chiefs. Ravens tight end Mark Andrews has been activated off injured reserve. He's been sidelined since injuring his ankle November 16th in a win over the Bengals. Isaiah Pacheco and Kadarius Toney are questionable for the Chiefs. And at 3:30 on Fox, the Niners 7-point favorites hosting the Lions. Deebo Samuel, a limited participant in practice yesterday after leaving the divisional round win over the Packers with a shoulder injury. For the Lions, Sam Laporta and Frank Ragnow both off the injury report. In the association, the Trailblazers wrapping up their road trip tonight against Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. 6:30 tip on Root Sports Plus and NBA TV. The Blazers are 2.5-point dogs. Shaden Sharp out, Malcolm Brogdon questionable. Portland 13-31 on the season, the 5th worst record in the league. Oregon State Baseball has informed the West Coast Conference that they will not join the conference as an affiliate member in 2025 and will play an independent schedule. And on the college hardcourt, after losing at the buzzer last night in Corvallis, number 9 Arizona hits Eugene to face conference-leading Oregon tomorrow afternoon. 2:30 tip on Fox. Coverage here on the Fan starts at 2 o'clock. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino has all the postseason pro football action on the big screens with big-time sports betting action. Visit spiritmountain.com.
This is your home for year-round NFL coverage. The Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
I'm Leif, owner of Leif's Stood there getting wet with our backs against the fence.
All right, well, we're joined on our new day for our Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, Ryan Horvat. Now on Fridays, Horvat, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, guys. Yeah, I was. They were moving me around a little bit, so I was on in the daytime doing the day show for Nick and Ken, who host You Better You Bet, because they're doing some weekend work now. And now I'm back to doing my nighttime show, BetMGM tonight, and then I'm on the air this weekend. So as much as I love football, I'm ready for the off season to take some vacation. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, no, I mean we've got 2 whole weeks left. Well, 3 weeks with the media buy. But as we head into the big boy weeks, what are the I mean, everybody talks about are the general lines, but I don't know what are the juicy props on a conference championship weekend where you're like, look, I don't really like the spreads in either of these games. Let's get a little more in the weeds.
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked that to start off, to be honest with you, man, because I look at both of these games, right? And I did end up betting the Ravens on the money line, but now that price is kind of gone because the number went up to 3.5. Now the money line's minus 200. I think they win the game, but there's a lot of props that I like, really in the NFC Championship game, because I like the over in that game. I think we're going to get some points in that game. So there's a couple props that I do like. I actually took a couple unders. I like Sam Laporta. I played him under 5.5 receptions. It went down to 4.5. I still like that, which is dangerous, I know, because he's probably the best rookie tight end ever in NFL history. He broke every record. But San Francisco is really good taking away the middle of the field because they have really 2 good inside linebackers that could cover, in Fred Warner and then in Dre Greenlaw, who had 2 interceptions against Green Bay. So I went under on Laporta, but there was a couple overs I like. Well, I go under on him. I like the over on Jameson Williams, the rookie wide receiver. I shouldn't say rookie. He got suspended last year. But the wide receiver out of Alabama, I like his receiving yards over 28.5. I think that could be 1 reception for him. He's the guy that takes the top off the defense. I like Jahmyr Gibbs over on the rushing yards, 46.5. And then, for San Francisco, I like Brandon Ayuk over 80.5 receiving yards, but I really, really like Christian McCaffrey receiving yards. This is my biggest bet of the weekend. So if Deebo Samuel plays in this game, I don't think he's going to be 100%, you guys. And so you look at the 2 games where Deebo missed this year. McCaffrey had 60 yards receiving, 56 yards receiving. Even in that game against Green Bay, he had 7 receptions, only for 30 yards. But that's the thing, man. Detroit, they're really good against the run, so I think they might be able to take away the ground game stuff from McCaffrey. But their pass defense really struggles. They have a good pass rush, so I think it's going to be a lot of quick throws from Brock Purdy, who has a bounce-back game here, and I think we get a lot of McCaffrey. So I went over on his receiving yards, and it's only 36.5, so I think he could clear this by the third quarter.
You mentioned Deebo and in his injury kind of looming large for the 49ers and how they've had a failure to adjust the offense without him. How do you weigh injuries to a guy like Deebo and a guy like Joe Thuney, who you look at Kansas City, your left guard being out in a game where you can tell us what the weather's like over there, but the DMV, apparently a lot of rain coming in this weekend, and you're going to have to run the football. And Isaiah Pacheco also limited. How are you weighing those injuries as we head into this championship weekend with your bets?
Yeah, 2 really big injuries, man, because Kansas City, that's what nobody talks about. They're around right now because of their defense, Steve Spagnuolo, and then, their offensive line has been elite the last couple of years. It hasn't been as good this year, but it's still been really good. But the injury that I'm looking at for San Francisco is obviously Deebo Samuel, man. I think that's the biggest injury this weekend. Probably only worth 0.5 a point to the market, so they go from being 6.5-point favorites to 7-point favorites if he plays. I don't think we're going to get to 7.5 because then I think there'd be a lot of money coming in on Detroit. But Deebo's such a big injury just because, with San Francisco, they don't have an elite offensive line like a Kansas City or like a Baltimore. They have one guy that's really elite, their left tackle, Trent Williams, who's been elite for the last decade. But the interior of their offensive line isn't great, but nobody really notices because Brock Purdy gets rid of the ball in under 2.5 seconds. They could run the ball really well, and Kyle Shanahan's such a great play caller. But Deebo, that's a huge injury, man, because he's the zone beater, and they're going to see a ton of zone from Detroit. When they play a bunch of man, or when teams play man against them, that's usually a big Brandon Ayuk game. But I really liked Deebo, last week against Green Bay and then this week against Detroit. So if he's not out there, that's actually a pretty big injury.
Are you getting arrested right now?
No, this is Washington, D.C. It doesn't matter where I'm at work. There's always stuff going on, man. And it's not only it's not just like the regular police like I'm used to in Chicago. It's like the FBI and all these like black SUVs. I'm always like, oh, great. Like, what am I driving into right now? You never know. And then in our studio, like right across the street, the last 3 days, there's been a crime committed across the street. So, yeah, the sirens are just everywhere around here.
Just avoid the traffic around Langley and you're doing good.
Exactly.
I know it's NFL, championship weekend. I'm the basketball guy. I'm going to pivot because this is an interesting discussion for me that's been going on, both publicly and behind the scenes, for Rookie of the Year between Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama. There's been this dividing force between Oklahoma City Thunder fans and San Antonio Spurs fans as they're haggling over their guy. I've talked to a bunch of executives in the league, and there seems to be not necessarily a consensus, but there's a belief that we may have the first Rookie of the Year split since was it Jason Kidd? Is there a thought or a process or a value play to look at when things look like it might actually head that way in that kind of race?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and like for championship weekend, like everybody keeps asking me about the games. I'm like, well, I like the Ravens and I like the 49ers. I'm probably going to money line parlay them together. And I know that's boring because they're both the favorites, but I do think they're the two best teams in the league. I want to talk some NBA because right now there's some fascinating markets. The MVP market, obviously really fascinating. Like what I love about the NBA is there's overreaction just to one game. Joel Embiid went from being 8-1 to now plus 125 just because he dropped, 40 against Jokic and then had a 70-point game. But there's still so much season left to play. And the Rookie of the Year market's so interesting to me because I played Wemby to start the season when it went to even money, just because I was like, man, here's a guy that we've been hyping up now for the last 3 years. Really, the last guy we hyped up like this was LeBron. He's a unicorn. And I like Chet, but I thought maybe what would take away from Chet would just be how good OKC was going to be. Now, I didn't know they were going to be the 1 seed in the West here in January, but, I worried what are the numbers going to look like? Because I think Shea's a legit MVP candidate. Yes. I was really high on Josh Giddey coming into the season. But, man, Chet's the real deal. You heard it a couple of weeks ago. They played that game against Boston. That game was great. And Porzingis, even after the game, was like, man, this kid's the real deal. He's an all-star right now. So I think the value play there is really just to kind of wait for a little bit of an overreaction. You know what I mean? Because a couple of weeks ago, we were getting plus money with Wemby. It went to being plus 150, so I played a little bit more. But if we got to 2-1 with Chet, maybe I would look to play that. We talked about this the other night on the show. Usually team success doesn't matter for Rookie of the Year. But if OKC finishes with the 1 seed in the West, you have Shea averaging 30 points per game, and you have Chet putting up the numbers he's putting up, I think that helps his case. But co-Rookie of the Year, I would love to see what they do there. If you just get paid out, if both winners get paid out or if nobody gets paid out, because it's been so long. I don't want to see that, man. I would love to see them pick a guy. I just think that's kind of copping out. And I think that, I would lean Chet, though, if they continue to have that success and he continues to put up those numbers. I mean, Wemby's great, too. Look at it the other night. I mean, he dropped 33 or whatever it was against Embiid, but we didn't talk about it because Embiid had 70.
Yeah, I mean, you would probably be more familiar with this process than me in this instance. Is there a standard operating procedure for when there is something like this where there is a dual winner?
Yeah, usually how that works out. So it's kind of I wonder if you would get paid out half of your earnings or if both winners would just get paid out. I've never seen anything like this because, like you said, last time it happened, I wasn't even betting futures yet. So that's actually something that I should probably look into, to be honest with you. I never even thought about that. What happens with the co-winner if both tickets would get paid out, both Wemby and Chet? Well, because sometimes what happens is if there's a tie or something happens in horse racing, you get half of your earnings. So I wonder if that's how it would work. If you bet 100 on Wemby to win 250, if you would only get 150 back. That's a really good question. I think the way that it should work is both winners get paid out.
Well, hey, look, I'm sorry to hand you homework on a Friday afternoon, man, but I'm handing you homework on a Friday afternoon. We got to get an answer for this. I got to know which way I got to go with this. Avoid all of the blacked out SUVs and apparently the crime station across the street from where you guys are filming. And we'll check in with you next week. All right, man?
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Marv. I appreciate it. Take care. That was the host of BetMGM tonight, and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, Ryan Horvat. Insider Calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Coming up next, we have our worst day on the web and why the Washington Wizards just need to stop Washington Wizards doing this. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
All Friday edition of Danny and Dusty
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
That sucks.
Well, more off of the nod over the last, I don't know, 15 years? 15 years sounds fine. Anytime you hear the Washington Wizards, that's usually not going to go well.
Yeah, ever since Gilbert Arenas brought guns to the arena.
Oh, well,
I mean, I think that really is the downfall of the Wizards.
not Nick Young.
No, I think that was it. I think that was it.
Okay.
Then Deshaun Stevenson, the whole team just.
When you go look at that roster, Javaris Crittenton, Deshaun Stevenson,
Yeah.
Gilbert Arenas, you're just like Andre Blatch, Nick Young.
That was not. Nick Young was on that
Oh, he's
roster?
like a rookie or a second year
Really?
player. Yeah. Yeah. You go back and look at that team and you go,
Damn.
oh, that might be the most dysfunctional team I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yes, it was. And that would be the downfall. And that was how long? That was about 15 years ago,
Yeah,
right?
it's 2008, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Indeed. Neil DeLaw is covers the Washington Wizards for Hoop District. He's a blogger, and apparently he has had his credential withdrawn by the Washington Wizards after making some judgments or insinuations based on the Washington Wizards promotional materials, their billboards that went up, and saying that he didn't expect Tyus Jones to be on the team post-trade deadline because he was not in said material.
So they put up a billboard. Tyus Jones wasn't on the billboard. And then he said, I don't expect him to be on the team because he wasn't on the billboard. That's it. And they just said, no, you can't come cover our team anymore.
Yeah.
Look, that's Luka Doncic-esque levels of softness there.
Yeah, well, what ended up happening was Tyus retweeted it.
It's because the player retweeted it. I don't understand what is happening here.
That part. Like, look, it's no secret that when the Blazers were shopping Damian Lillard,
Yeah, you don't put the guy up on the side of Moto Center.
he wasn't on the side of the building and he wasn't going out with season ticket material. And they made it, and they discussed it, in the article after the Dame trade. Remember, they said, hey, we got to make sure he's not in stuff. Like,
Right.
he's not in the social media. He's not in, like,
Well, yeah, he said he didn't want to be here.
Yeah,
but Tyus Jones, does he want to be there, though?
but even if he doesn't, but like, the team is actively making those decisions. So
So what is their problem?
the crying.
The crying?
Yeah, that's basically where
They
we're
are
at here.
shopping
Like,
Tyus Jones.
yes,
A reporter said, look, trade deadline is in a week and a half.
This is a very basic insinuation of like, and it's like, it's not a guarantee, but you look at that and you go, well, you've got Kuzma,
Yeah,
you've got Poole,
yeah.
you've got Bilal Coulibaly, their rookie draft pick. Like, okay.
Is Washington known for being like this on?
I haven't
because
heard.
I haven't
on
heard.
the media side. I've never heard anything like
I
this.
haven't heard of anybody caring about Washington and the Wizards enough.
Well, Candace
to-
Buckner, our local great, she was out there covering them for a while. But it's
That still doesn't mean that people were caring about the Washington Wizards.
She was forced to.
It was her job, quite literally. But I don't.
But yeah,
I don't
you
know.
would
I
think
haven't
in
heard
this-
anything
You would think in this
positively
kind of situation.
or actually, I have heard negatively about the Wizards because they're terrible.
Yes, but you would think in this kind of situation they would just take the press. Like any good, bad, otherwise. Like you have people who
Yeah.
are actively wanting to cover the team.
And they, what does this guy work for?
He was just a blogger,
He's a blog.
independent media.
This is the dumbest thing
Like
I've
this
ever
is
heard.
some Neil Olshey type stuff.
And this is where bloggers, the internet, they will kill you as an NBA franchise or any professional sports entity because he is internet guy.
Yeah.
And so when internet guy gets wronged, the entire internet then turns against
Especially when it's something innocuous.
you. Yeah. Like this is
Look, if you make an insinuation like Tyus Jones isn't on this team or isn't in the promotional material because I heard he's under investigation for something shady. Like that's not what he did.
no, he's just gonna be traded in all likelihood because your
It would be like
roster
if Malcolm Brogdon was a starter.
Yeah.
And I said, well, they put up, post All-Star break media materials. But
Sure.
Malcolm Brogdon's not on this. I'd be probably getting traded. And the Blazers revoking my credentials.
Absolutely.
That's the same straight line we're drawing here.
And that's exactly what
And that's
every
insane.
single reporter will do if a billboard goes up right before look, this is on the Wizards put up a billboard right before the trade deadline.
But not even that, like it's not even irresponsible journalism Is it something you should probably say publicly?
Yeah.
No, because there's nothing informed behind it. It's the kind of thing you say to somebody else, like, that's kind of weird. But
he just put out a tweet.
But again, it's like it's
okay.
But the fact that that guy ran with it. By
is that
guy,
really running with it?
No, Tyus Jones retweeting it, like, I wonder that maybe Tyus was having a bad. Listen, I've never heard a bad thing about Tyus Jones. Great guy, Mr. Basketball in Minnesota, good kid, great teammate. Every team would be lucky to have him on their team. Maybe he was having a bad day and he said something to somebody in PR and it made its way to the Wizards general manager and he went full Neil Olshey.
That's ridiculous. Well, Wizards gonna wizard. This is so low on the totem pole of things they should be concerned about.
Yes.
And this is why they are that bad. Maybe this is actually genius by the Wizards. They're just trying to divert attention from Wes Unseld Jr., who is no longer their head coach.
And was just going to put in a glorified.
They're like, hey, we're going to move you up into the front office and you're going to have an administrative
It's actually good for
role.
you.
And everyone's like, wait a minute. You just hired this guy like 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're canning him, but with no clear replacement. And
that you're going to address in the offseason.
And what is his new job? And they just like, we're not going to handle that.
Advisory role.
Look at this guy. Retweeted about a billboard. It's brilliant.
It's honest. Look, as far as harebrained stuff goes, I don't think it's that far off. All right, coming up next, we will take a dive into some more conference championship action as we reset in hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Hour with you on Danny Dusty on a Friday afternoon ahead of conference championship weekend. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens face off in the AFC. The Detroit Lions and San Francisco 49ers in the AFC vying for a Super Bowl opportunity.
I think we got two great games, man.
We do. And I feel like it's rare. Like, I know that there's two clear-cut favorites, 49ers, Chiefs, blah, blah, blah. As far as the
better rosters, better teams,
Sure.
like betting favorites, absolutely.
Yes, but I think the matchups always make fights. Styles make fights. I think in both these games you have opportunities for either side to pull something out. And the thing that's going to be dictating that the most is the guy that touches the ball every play is the quarterback. And one thing we opened the show with was a poll asking who the biggest affirmation it would be for winning this game coming out of this weekend, going into the Super Bowl. Which quarterback? Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, or Jared Goff? Okay. I think there's different ways that you can go about this, about the level it would mean. If you're talking about Patrick Mahomes, he's in another AFC Championship game going to another Super Bowl every year in his career. As a starter, he has made it to the AFC Championship game.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I heard that's really good.
So it just further affirms his pecking order in the GOAT ladder.
Yeah.
Where Tom Brady's at the top. I mean, are we with Mahomes here? Is he at Peyton Manning level now? Where does he ascend to, and how much affirmation is it for him?
I don't think really much for Mahomes. I think Mahomes has probably the most to gain or the least to gain or lose out of this weekend, because for Lamar Jackson, it truly is an affirming moment to what he has become as a quarterback. And to wash away what everybody has said about him not being the passer of the ball. He's a thrower who can run. Lamar Jackson has proven week in and week out all season long, he is way more than that.
He's very quarterbacky.
And the people that are still like holding it against him are the ones that just haven't opened their eyes. They just won't accept, seen him. But you're going to have to if he beats Mahomes.
Yes.
And I think that is the thing, is that if it was against Josh Allen, I don't think it would mean as much, even though this is he's not beating Patrick Mahomes. He'd be beating Kansas City's really damn good defense. Yes. But it's really good in the back end. It's always
quarterback against quarterback, even though it's hilarious that they never actually face each other. You have, it wasn't, Colts versus Patriots. It was Brady versus Manning.
Exactly.
Like that this becomes Mahomes versus Jackson. And it would, right now, it's not Mahomes versus Jackson. It's Mahomes versus the Ravens. And Jackson would put himself on that level of, it's not the Baltimore Ravens, it's Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
I think
it puts him on that pantheon of, when you're playing that team, you're playing Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I think it's stupidity that people are...
The way we associate quarterback with team?
Yeah, well, and people are not giving the respect that he has earned as a quarterback. Right. I think a big part of that has to do with the holdout in the league, probably coming together and colluding and downplaying him and not getting him that deal. But also the way that the discussion about I'm him kind of leading into that, and then getting injured again and then failing to deliver in some big moments in the playoffs. I think that all of that stuff, you boil it all together in that 2.5-year period, it needs this moment to blow it all apart. See, and this is the infuriating part, is that people just don't want the context of what is going on. They won't remember he's already won an MVP.
No.
They want to sit there and be like, he's regurgitating stupid old takes.
They want to find the weakness.
Lamar Jackson isn't the quarterback that all these other guys. Yeah, he is, man. Open your eyes and watch. And if you are still criticizing what Lamar Jackson is as a quarterback, really understand. I think we're really learning that Greg Roman was a big issue with that offense and how it operated.
2 years ago, I was not in on Lamar Jackson. The deep ball was an issue. And I said, until he can do that, until he can make that throw under pressure and not be the guy that has to use his legs, but that can use his legs, then I'll believe it. And guess what? He did it.
Well, he is a guy that he always said, I need better receivers. They got him better receivers.
And he delivered.
They got him a better system.
Yep.
They don't rely on him to run the ball by design like Greg Roman did. And so they lacked creativity offensively, and they also lacked playmakers
Personnel,
on the outside.
For sure.
They've got both those things. And Lamar Jackson is saying, I told you guys. And then so instead of saying, no, Lamar Jackson was right on all accounts.
100%.
People are like, bro, you know,
No way people don't want to change their minds.
Yeah, we know what he was like. Like, open your damn eyes and watch it.
Yeah.
Because what you're seeing is a guy who's playing quarterback at an insanely high level. And oh, by the way, is a freak athlete to go along with it.
It's secondary now, though.
Yeah. And he can grow his lot in life as a quarterback. He will be number 2 if he beats Mahomes, and this is the back to the unfair BS that we all deal with. He will move to that.
Oh, he wins his Super Bowl. He's number 2. There's no doubt
It's
about it.
Mahomes, and then you have Lamar Jackson because he, even if he gets to the Super Bowl, he would do.
It's a short list.
Well, he would do exactly what all of the other guys that are in that conversation have done, and some of them haven't even done.
Josh Allen.
But he would have done it with 2 MVP awards to back it as well.
That's the thing.
And that's like, then you sit there and you're like, all right, what's holding you back from saying he's number 2?
Yeah.
You know, like what is holding you? What are you looking for?
What does he not do?
Because your eyes would tell you, the resume would tell you, the Lamar Jackson
the
is the
accomplishments
second
would tell
best
you.
quarterback.
Everything would tell you. And that's the thing is, you look at the next guys in this list, Brock Purdy and Jared Goff. What it does for Jared Goff, for me, is it puts him in Eli Manning status.
Oh.
2 times. Look, let's say he gets the Super Bowl and wins. He's a 2-time Super Bowl participant with a Super Bowl win.
Okay.
Who's been productive throughout his whole career. Is it earth-shattering stats? No. Is he above
Numbers
average?
are really good.
Numbers are really good. But, like, we're not talking... if you put his first 10 years in the league up against Eli Manning's, first 8 years in the league up against Eli Manning's, and you took the names off, do you think you could tell them apart?
Yeah, because Goff's numbers are probably going to be better.
They're going to be better, but like, again...
I mean, in all honesty, they will be.
But, I mean, you understand what I'm saying in the sense of, like, how they're perceived.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at that, you go, well, he's won a Super Bowl. He's been to 2 as the quarterback. And we talked about the list. How many guys who've been to a Super Bowl that are currently active?
Not a lot.
It's a short list. And if you've been there twice and you've won once and you've delivered and you've been an all-pro or a Pro Bowler and you're a guy who has led a Detroit Lions team that has been in the dregs for literal decades, much like the New York Giants.
Yeah.
I think you have to start looking at him as that second-tier great quarterback.
Well, and that is okay. The second tier great quarterback. That's where you're getting me, because I was like, I mean, Eli did it for a really long time.
Sure.
And it was really dang good. But if you go,
But would anybody have ever put Eli as a top 5 quarterback in the league?
no, and nobody should put Jared Goff either. And
but
that's
if you want to put Goff in the top 10, am I going to argue with you if he goes and wins a Super Bowl? No, God no.
No, and look. Jared Goff can do something that very few guys have done, which is go to a Super Bowl with 2 different teams. Doing it with 2 different teams is much harder than people give him credit for.
And different systems and different supporting personnel and different structures.
Think about the guys who've done it. Brady, Manning. Let's see here. You've got just Brady, Manning, Kurt Warner.
Yeah,
Did it with the Rams and the Cardinals. Yep. Then I think like there's one other guy, Craig Morton.
Oh my God.
Craig Morton. Like that's the list.
Yeah.
And then it would be Jared Goff. And so maybe we put him in the Craig Morton category there. Like that. Think about that though. Here's a guy who gets dumped on so much.
Here's a dart for you.
Yet it is his company is Brady, Manning, and Kurt Warner, and then Craig Morton.
Here's one for you.
If he goes 0 for 2, he would be in that Craig Morton because all those other guys, they got to win.
If Goff wins the Super Bowl and he performs well and he keeps putting up his numbers, 15 years, let's say 15 years career.
Yeah.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Goff?
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, how many more Super Bowls does he go to?
Let's say he wins the Super Bowl. Let's say he wins Super Bowl MVP.
And he doesn't go back to the Super
doesn't
Bowl
go back.
again,
So
but he
two-
just puts up good numbers.
Puts up crazy numbers. Is a Super Bowl winner.
I mean, if you win a Super Bowl for Detroit, you should go in the Hall of Fame just for that.
Honestly, it's kind of tongue in cheek, but I'm kind of serious.
Boy, I don't even know.
Because like if you're taking that franchise and you're leading them to a Super Bowl victory, and you're a Super Bowl MVP, and you've taken now two franchises to two Super Bowls, two franchises who through their history have been either really good or really bad. There is really no in between with the Rams and the Lions.
I think he would have to put together another like great year deep run special run.
Oh, let's say that the Lions, they're not going anywhere,
this.
barring a complete meltdown. Let's say they make another NFC title game.
Yeah.
But as I'm saying, like, let's say he continues to put up the numbers they do, and the Lions are progressing, and they're in the mix. But you've got that Super Bowl victory and a Super Bowl MVP, and you led that franchise to the promised land, and your numbers look like that. Like I said, Eli Manning, yes, he has two, including 2 victories over the Patriots, but you have to like start. I don't know.
And he would be a number 1 overall pick, and they'd finally give a little bit of credence to that as well.
And that's where I kind of start wondering, like when you
just blew my mind.
When you start thinking about like who this in the immediacy, who it means the most for, it's Lamar Jackson, and it's not close. But if you're talking about like legacy, long lasting, I think it could be absolutely massive for a guy like Jared Goff, who when you take a step back and you go, God, he had 10 years where he was really productive. Borderline Pro Bowl, right on the edge always, and a couple-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP. Like, when you start adding all those things together, that list gets super small.
Yeah.
We've already talked about Super Bowl participants and Super Bowl winners. It's a small group in the last 15 years.
He is currently, if you look at Jared Goff, he is currently 53rd all-time in career passing yards. He averages over 4,000 yards passing a year, okay? If you take out his first season, he's right around there. And you look at, he's got 30,000 career yards in passing. Might surprise some people just because he's had eye-popping numbers, and their careers are very similar. Jared Goff has thrown for more yards than Patrick Mahomes in his career. Mahomes did come in a year later, but again, first year for Jared Goff, I think he only threw for 1,800 yards. And right now, Goff has 30,000 yards in his career. Mahomes with 28,000. So if he continues, he plays like 5 more years at
his current production.
At current production,
he's 50,000 yards.
He'd land top 25 all-time passing yards.
Top 25 all-time passing yards with a Super Bowl victory, Super Bowl MVP, 2-time Super Bowl participant, number 1 overall draft pick.
Yeah. Might do it for you.
You know what I mean? Like, and so when you're talking about like the impact that this weekend could have on particular quarterbacks, yes, the immediacy, Lamar Jackson, it stamps him above stamps because he's got 2 MVPs, Super Bowl, and let's be honest, he'd probably end up. Look, it's not always a quarterback that wins that MVP, but it's the most likely occurrence to land on.
If he did, he'd be nipping on the heels of the guy he was traded for, Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, drafted in 2009. He's got 56,000 yards now. And if you look at that, he won a Super Bowl on the team that he wasn't drafted for, was a top pick. Yeah. Boy, Goff's got a long way to go to get there, though.
But again, as I'm saying, it's the immediacy, it's Lamar. But if you're talking about careers,
he deserves more credit.
It gets really interesting, and this kind of goes back to the whole idea of how we evaluate quarterbacks, and not just quarterbacks, but players in general, like versus in the moment versus actually seeing the entire picture of it all when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
I think that makes, and we didn't even talk about what this means for Purdy because it's year freaking 2.
I can't wait to see how drunk Jared Goff would get at a Detroit Lions Super Bowl parade. Like, he's got to win 2 more games to get there.
That whole bus is
boy.
Oh my God.
That would be something. I think he would be our ringleader. He would be our hero from there. We don't know Frank Ragnow. I haven't heard him speak at all, but if he goes Jason Kelsey on us, he could become a new America's hero.
I think Hutch.
Aiden Hutchinson?
He's a Michigan guy. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's Mr. Michigan through and through, but I don't know if he's too image conscious.
That's fair.
To go out on that limb. You got to have a wild card in there. Like, who's the guy that doesn't really have...
Who's going to go full Jason Kelsey and show up in a ridiculous...
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Frank Ragnow, like, could become our Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
We've got to find that character. It's Dan Campbell. It's the head coach who'd do that. And he would just be legendary.
I could see him absolutely just smashing every beer in existence.
Every single one.
Yeah.
And I would pay to go to that parade.
You know what I love about championship parades? We allow anyone and everyone to completely break free of character. You have like a 3-hour window where you were allowed to be the worst.
Well, Tom Brady damn near dropped the trophy into the bottom of Tampa Bay.
Carried off the boat.
Yeah, too much tequila.
Just absolutely S-canned. And you know what nobody does? Nobody's like, oh, it's irresponsible of him.
Ooh, St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know if he drinks that much, though. You know, because his dad's bodybuilder.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, look.
But if he doesn't drink and they're like peer pressuring him into it,
it may be him. Maybe it might be the lightweight.
Lightweight there. You may have the lightweight.
You're like the girl at the party. I'm so drunk.
Yeah. Oh.
What is in this?
Except for like Amon-Ra's really angry. So he may, maybe.
I'm so drunk.
There we go. And Detroit would love him.
All right, enough football talk for right now. We're going to get back and talk a little bit of Blazers, where they've been in the last 10 games. It's really bad and really good. It's a stark contrast, and then we'll come back out of the break and maybe talk a little bit of NBA trade deadline primer. Come up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
won't get you too far. Get you too far.
The text line is great for a lot of things. Just sitting here talking championship downs for some reason.
Well, yeah. Like we had a texture. This is a good question. What city would go the hardest after winning a Super Bowl? Not just the 4 remaining, but of all teams. Immediately, two teams come into mind, or 2 cities: Cleveland and Chicago.
First one for me was Cleveland.
See,
They
Philadelphia
would light
has
that
to,
river on fire again.
Yeah, but Philadelphia has to grease the light poles.
Yeah, but we've seen that. I think like, and like you can't say like Boston. They get drunk all the time, right? Like they just go and championship parade after championship parade. I think like Philly, they've had theirs.
That's fair. It's been a long time for Cleveland.
So it's like Cleveland, Chicago, Detroit, I think are my top 3. Those are the cities that would just go the wildest. And then wild card thrown in there, Jacksonville.
I was trying to find a Florida, but I'm like,
Florida people.
They don't really.
Miami's too bougie.
I thought maybe a smaller spot like Memphis, NBA. I thought that might be a good one.
Buffalo would be great. Like
Buffalo.
Buffalo may just burn the whole city down.
What about?
Like they'd be like, we're gonna go on boats, go over Niagara
Carolina?
Falls. But no. I like Charlotte would. I think Charlotte would put on a surprising show, but it's just like they're too new and not weird enough. Like Jacksonville's Florida, it's weird. They just don't know any limits. I think you got to look the Rust Belt. I mean, we're talking.
Yeah, you're probably right.
We're talking Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit.
I think I'm gonna go with Detroit.
Well, yeah, I think it's got to be a long-suffering fan base.
I mean,
That's right.
Detroit. I mean, they've got the Pistons.
Buffalo. Could you imagine how many tables would be broken?
Right.
Buffalo would just break everything. Like it may start a war with Canada. Like it may. Like,
Canada might come in and party.
It's gonna be an international incident. I think.
Okay, my top 2 is Detroit and Cleveland.
And Josh Allen
that's what
would.
I'm going with.
Josh Allen would be a hero in that party.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
He would. There's no question who the power drinker would be there.
Cleveland had the Cavs. They've had some recency.
But the Browns have been there longer and have suffered longer.
Hell, they left and came back.
Yeah. See? There we go.
I guess what matters is the sport.
Yeah.
On the football side.
100%. I mean, in the NFL championship parades they get squirrely.
I kind of point to the Warriors and Mark Madsen and lots of drinking, or the Lakers, and that whole show. But then the Warriors and their general manager and coach throwing Kevin Durant under the bus because they were too drunk.
Yeah, it turns out people just get sensitive during NBA championships.
Yeah, a lot
right?
of that. A lot of that. But I think it's the alcohol starts flowing and things are said that aren't normally said.
Doesn't that kind of define the two sports though? Like how many times have we heard like NFL guys are like, screw it, running it back, baby. Yep. And like they make their agents all go, oh no, like we lost all of our leverage.
There goes their leverage.
Meanwhile, the NBA is taking just stabs at star players. Like
it's a little high school musical.
Yeah, and they're right there. It encapsulates both of those sports so well. The NBA and the NFL, where these guys are making just knee-jerk reactions in the NFL.
Dudes being dudes.
And then you have some moments that will live in infamy of guys. The best partier was Matthew Dellavedova, who did not, he and J.R. Smith did not put a shirt on for a week.
Right. Aaron Gordon was the same way.
And Delly was out partying in like garages with people.
Yeah. Aaron Gordon last year with the Nuggets left the arena shirtless in his game shorts and game shoes and was walking through the streets with fans. And he said, number one, I knew they were going to do anything because it was all love. But number two, I'm 6'9". What are they going to do?
Yeah. I would love to see how Steven Adams handles a championship parade.
Ooh,
no.
The amount of beer Hitman could put down.
I would like to see how the championship parade
handles
Steven Jackson or Steven Adams. Like that's the question. Like, can they contain?
Steven Jackson's a good one too, though.
That's like Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. The earth gets pushed down.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You're not wrong.
That's Steven Adams.
Well, speaking of pushing things down, the Portland Trailblazers are not exactly pushing down on what do you got? Go ahead,
Or
just tell me. Oh, it's right. It's 2:30. It's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's Friday. I'm still getting back to
The triumphant return. It's
There
been
we
a
go.
while.
We'll get back. Yeah, we got Orrin and me back in all three of us in the studio. So it's 2:30. We'll get to Jeff Russ. because it's a Friday afternoon, 2:30. Come be around Danny and Dusty. First, here's the Big Kuno Sports Center update.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, Conference Championship weekend is finally here. Sunday at noon on CBS, the Ravens, 3.5-point favorites hosting the Chiefs. Ravens tight end Mark Andrews has been activated off injured reserve. He's been sidelined since injuring his ankle November 16th in a win over the Bengals. Isaiah Pacheco, Kadarius Toney are questionable for the Chiefs. And at 3:30 on Fox, the 49ers, 7-point favorites hosting the Lions. Deebo Samuel, a full participant in practice today and has no injury designation. For the Lions, Sam Laporta and Frank Ragnow, both off the injury report. The Trailblazers wrap up their road trip tonight against Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. 6:30 tip on Root Sports Plus and NBA TV. Blazers 3.5-point dogs. Shaden Sharp out. Malcolm Brogdon is questionable. Oregon State Baseball has informed the West Coast Conference that they will not join the conference as an affiliate member in 2025 and will play an independent schedule. And after losing at the buzzer last night in Corvallis, number 9 Arizona hits Eugene to face conference leading Oregon tomorrow afternoon. 2:30 tip on Fox. Coverage here on The Fan starts at 2 o'clock. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino has all the postseason pro football action on the big screens with big-time sports betting action. Visit spiritmountain.com.
It's The Fan on FM. Go to 99.5 FM HD2 and enjoy high def 1080 The Fan.
Winter is here.
It's 2:30-ish here on Dating Dusty on a Friday afternoon. And it's back, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest game show that has ever existed. Jeff Russ. Jeff Russ, hit us.
All right. Well, we've been talking about it most of the day today. Conference championship weekend is here. First up Sunday, the Ravens hosting the Chiefs. Mark Andrews activated off injured reserve. He hasn't played since November 16th. Isaiah Likely had 2 catches for 34 yards on 3 targets against the Texans in the divisional round. No other Raven was targeted more than 5 times. So, which tight end sees more targets? Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely?
I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to go Andrews.
Yeah, I still think it's Isaiah Likely. Isaiah Likely because
You'd say he's more likely?
Yeah. I'm going to go Isaiah Likely because of the fact that Andrew's going to have to round into form, and you got now a 2-headed monster at tight end. I think it really helps them running the football. I honestly do. With the amount that Kansas City asks for run support from their linebackers, you can use play action to get your tight ends open. You can use them in the run game to string them out to the outside. You've got Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, good night. Good night.
Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco spotted at practice today. He's officially questionable after sitting out the last 2 days due to injuries to his toe and ankle. If he can't go Sunday, who is more likely to be Kansas City's leading rusher, Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Patrick Mahomes?
I'm going dark horse. I'm going Patty Mahomes.
You're going Mahomes? Actually, I don't hate that. I don't hate it. I don't hate it because he's going to be flushed out. With Joe Thuney being out.
They might do it by design.
You're going to have to see more of a freewheeling Patrick Mahomes. I don't hate it. I'll go with it.
I could see him having a 65-ish yard rushing game.
Yep. I could see it.
Jared Goff threw for just under 300 more yards than Brock Purdy on over 160 more attempts this season.
3 times!
What's wrong with you?
3 times!
What is wrong with you?
Damn drop board. So Purdy averaged 9.6 yards a throw versus 7.6 for Goff. Who throws for more yards on Sunday? Brock Purdy or Jared Goff? They come in 3.
Goff me. Goff me. All day.
Brock Purdy. Lions secondary is still bad. They're going to have to thrive through the air. Deebo Samuel being off the injury report and going to be active for the game is huge. For game plans, scheme-wise for the San Francisco 49ers, the middle of the field is going to be wide open. They have an opportunity to pick Detroit apart in the middle of the field. They play 2 high safeties, and they have to scream out towards the edges because the corners are really bad. The middle of the field is going to be a game changer for Brock Purdy in this offense. I'm going to go with Brock Purdy for that reason. If you look at it, most of the receivers for the 49ers, especially George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk, they have feasted in the deep middle of the field. Those 2 guys are going to have big games.
Just give it to me. Give it to me all day. We're down to 2 head coaching vacancies in the NFL, the Seahawks and the Commies. Damn it.
Just immaculate timing.
And Bill Belichick still does not have a job. He needs just 15 wins to pass Don Shula for most head coaching wins all time. Do we really think he wants to put off that chase for a season? So, Bill Belichick, an NFL head coach next season, or nah?
I'm going to go no. I don't think either organization wants to tie themselves to him.
Nope.
The Seahawks have already said they don't want an old coach. That's part of the reason they moved on from Pete.
Seahawks are no, and I think the Commanders, when you look at what the Commies are trying to do, they're trying to get Ben Johnson. They want to get the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. They're kind of dragging their feet on this one. If Ben Johnson turns them down, though, maybe.
Does Bill accept being the runner-up?
Well,
does his
coach?
Well, I'm saying, does his pride allow that?
Yeah.
If it goes that public?
Yeah. It'll be Bill Belichick's little edge, and he'll just be like, I'm grumpy.
My face, instant face.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to the association. The Trailblazers wrap up their road trip tonight in San Antonio against Wemby and the Spurs. Some books have Wemby as the Rookie of the Year favorite. Some have OKC's Chet Holmgren. Who wins Rookie of the Year, Wemby or Chet?
I have started off the season saying if you're putting your money on anybody other than Wemby, put it on Chet as a dark horse. I put my money on Wemby to begin this. I am not changing my bet. In fact, if I could, I can. I might double down on Wemby because his move to the center position has made him exponentially better across the board.
I'll go Wemby just because I think the pushback to the second year guy. There will be people that hold off on Chet Holmgren because he was in the NBA for a year.
And
I think
matter.
some voters will not vote for him because of that. And Victor Wembanyama, really good.
I think it's going to come down to either Wemby straight up win or it's going to be a split. I don't think Chet wins.
Yeah.
And we got one more here. Speaking of the Blazers, the player most frequently brought up as a trade target for other teams is Malcolm Brogdon.
You know it's coming!
Damn it. After the trade deadline, Brogdon is a member of the Trailblazers.
Or
The Field.
Field. I'll go with the Field. I'm going with the Field.
I'm going to go with the Field. It's not a strong take, but I'm going with the Field.
Bring me the 500 picks. No. Bring me a big.
There you go.
Bring me a big.
Bring a front court player.
Bring me someone
6'7" or taller.
taller.
Yeah.
6'9" or
6'9" or
taller.
taller? Okay.
I don't
Okay.
want 6'7". I want 6'9" or taller.
Okay.
I want a 6'8" guard, damn it.
I mean,
Enough for the little guys.
I'm okay with that.
Let's go Ben Simmons.
I want a different 6'8" guard.
Well, he's
He's
6'10".
6'10".
He's real big.
All right, that's it. That's all we got.
Ladies and gentlemen, another edition of Jeff Russ Or.
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
Art Alakakis.
Control it over there.
I go both ways. I don't have any problem finding my balls. We go both ways.
Meow.
It's like what?
Pigs, they can't look up.
If you don't like it, suck it.
It's like playing drop board pong back and forth.
Welcome to Beaver Town.
Boop, 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 between Jeff and Dusty here right now.
The official fart stall. Bruce Hornsby.
Coming up next on Danny and
Soft.
Dusty, we'll wrap up today's show with a little bit of Blazers news notes as we get you ready for the weekend and hand you over to prime time. Danny and Dusty today, the fan. I want this
It's the fan
was on this day in 1979 that the Dukes of Hazzard premiered. They aired 147 episodes over 7 seasons. The final episode aired in 1985. We would like to forget most of season 5 as that featured Coy and Vance in place of Bo and Luke Duke.
Yeah, the cousins, right?
The cousins, yes, because Bo and Luke left for the NASCAR circuit in season 5.
It's like the most Dukes of Hazzard. Like, where'd they go? NASCAR.
So
you
they were.
Seen them, you see them jumping General Lee for the last 4 years?
So Coy and Vance were around for 19 episodes. They did share one episode together when Bo and Luke returned.
All right. Hey, I for one love the Dukes of Hazzard. Every day after school, I'd come on and pop on the old Dukes of Hazzard.
I
Great
remember
show.
watching it first run when I was a kid on Friday nights.
Well,
Because I'm that old.
you old, bro.
I'm old.
Dukes of Hazzard, great show.
Absolutely.
Old Boss Hog. Rico Pico.
Yeah. No, Rascal Pico. Also, happy 90th birthday to Bob Uecker.
Wait, I thought he.
No, he's alive.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Price is Right.
Bob Barker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dad.
Bob Uecker
Yeah.
played for the Milwaukee Braves, the Cardinals, the Phillies, again for the Atlanta Braves.
Algonquin for the good land.
Yes, he's been the Brewers broadcaster since 1971.
Yeah.
That is a haul, man.
Right? He had his stint on Mr. Belvedere from 1985 to 1990. He did those Miller Lite commercials. And then, of course, who can forget Major League? Just a bit outside.
I mean,
Just a bit outside.
is he the first sports tangential guy to make that cool?
Like celebrity.
Yeah, to make that transition to being a Harry Doyle, being the different character,
Right.
but
Yeah.
doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Kind of playing a character
Much like
of himself.
Bob Barker.
Yeah.
Doing Happy Gilmore. Like Euchre feels like the first crossover guy to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I wrong? Like I know I'm not 75 years old, so I don't have all of the history of sports and movies crossovers, but I
No.
feel like he's the guy.
No, like the first real sports cameo that I can
Is it Kareem?
I can remember.
Airplane?
No, I think it might be all of the Terry Bradshaw in the original Longest Yard.
Oh,
Like Mean Joe Green, Terry Bradshaw.
yeah.
All those guys were in the that's the first one I remember. I'm sure somebody will be like wrong, but that's a long time ago.
But those were only quick cameos, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Bob Uecker was the star of Major League.
Yeah.
Like it or not.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chuck Sheen.
Yes. Sorry, Chuck Sheen.
You know what I'm not sorry for?
Tom Berenger.
Corbin Bernstein.
Corbin Burnson.
Burnson?
Burnson.
Burnson.
Close enough. Bernstein.
Bernstein Bears.
You know what we're not going to mumble through is this sweet, sweet, sweet melody from Jeff Rust.
You had an assignment, my friend.
Yeah.
He gave you homework to start the day.
Yeah.
I believe I understood it.
Okay. If you missed the beginning of the show, we gave Jeff Rust the assignment to make a local jingle because we're missing jingles. And you were the songbird of our show, songbird of our station. I don't care what Schulte says. It's you. Okay? And so we
DOG.
gave you the task because I was watching old school Bruce Chevrolet commercials with the Wallaby. And he didn't have a jingle, but we need a local jingle here. So Jeff Rust, you were tasked with a business and a jingle for us by the end of the show. What do you have?
All right. Well, let's hope we don't piss off this local sponsor.
Okay.
At Langdon Farms Golf Club, what is our goal? Use our sticks to put it in the hole.
I love that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think the sales team is piling at the door to get in here right now to secure the rights for Jeff Rust jingle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I love that. That was really good.
You know,
That was
you
really
know,
good.
you know what I want to do right
We
now?
just need to add those
I want
onto
to get
the-
off I-5 and Canby and go to Langdon Farms.
That's right.
to the most well aerated golf course.
We
in the
need
area.
to do that. Like, we need to just slap that on the end of Rob's little Langdon spots.
Right, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I knew you'd do it. I knew that you would get it, and you delivered.
All right.
All right, sing it for us one more time.
At Langdon Farms Golf Club, what is our goal? Use our sticks to put it in the hole.
There we go.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Well, that's everybody. That's everybody's goal right there.
Right?
Great job. Great job. All right. Picks championship weekend. What do you think? What do you got?
I'm taking Lions and the Ravens.
All right. You got Lions. Whoa. Lions, Ravens. Okay.
I'm going with no, I think it's Ravens Niners.